Hey, welcome guys, ladies and gentlemen, to this episode of Relationship. Should we talk about it? And today I have a special guest for me, Rebecca Hulse. Hi, Rebecca. How you be?
Hi, I'm great. And I'm not sure we should talk about it.
You said yes. You jumping, you there, and we will talk about it.
Okay. I guess we'll have to.
So for people who will watch the replay and don't know you, can you present yourself?
Sure. So I'm Rebecca Hulse. I'm the regional coordinator currently for Access Consciousness in the Asia Pacific. I'm a certified facilitator. I'm also a Joy of Business and Wealth Creators Anonymous facilitator. I've been a coach and speaker and writer for many years now. I think we can say 10 years. And speaking on the world of consciousness and making your life easier has always been a pleasure for me. So I'm excited to see this conversation turn to an area where we spend so much of our time with, believing misinformation and choosing things that don't actually work for us, and creating strife and havoc and drama in our everyday lives because of what we think we should or shouldn't be doing. So I'm excited to see where this conversation goes.
Cool. And it's like for those already watched the previous replay or being there live, there is no script. Like I just send like maybe just two, not rules, but I said to Rebecca, oh, I have to jump on the French one. So let's meet each other in an hour and like just push down your barriers and let's have so much fun. So, and I'm doing that on a daily basis, just not only for that Zoom, but what else is possible. And yeah, so I only have one question for you and we can go from there.
Shoot.
I would just like take Rebecca.
I'm ready for you.
What's relationship for you?
Relationship is the thing to avoid. It's the distance between you and someone else. It's when you're trying to make yourself like this reality. It's the energy of trying to be normal and have what you think you should have in your life instead of what would actually be fun for you. Now, I do see some people that have a great time with another person and they are calling that a relationship, but I would like to say that that's not a relationship. It's a creation that they have found together and enjoy having with another person.
Like that.
Yes, so it's okay for you to say, I don't want a relationship.
I want a creationship, yeah.
Exactly. Or I just want something else. You don't even need to have a definition on what that is. And actually, it's our definitions and our judgments about what we think it should be, which is what is getting us into dangerous territory here. Because anytime you're comparing yourself against an ideal, against something else that you think should be, you're never going to be able to live up to that imagination, to that vision of reality, because it's not actually able to be actualized. We have a phrase in Access that Dane has said many times: it never shows up the way you think it's going to. But if you have a predetermined way that you believe that you need your life to go, and I'm a control freak, I am a huge fan of the predetermined way of the way that I think things should go. But I also know at the same time that if I only have that definition, if I only have that vision, and that's the only thing that's acceptable to me, that I'm going to walk around in my life constantly disappointed, constantly not able to be happy with what I have, with what I have created, with the incredible people and things that are already in my life. But if I instead going, all right, so this is what I would like. That's my ideal. And is that actually possible? Or is this a fantasy? And to be brutally honest with myself and be willing to look at, actually, this is not even a reality. This does not even exist. And to look at, all right, so instead, yes, I'm allowed to have magical, fantastical things that I desire to exist. And am I willing to be that in order to create it? Because we don't actually have a problem most of the time unless there's something we're not willing to be.
Love that.
And I know I said a lot of things very, very quickly. So Romain, if you want to direct this conversation in
No,
any
no,
way,
no.
just let me.
No, I loved it. And it's like, as you said, I mean, I would love for people like just to be aware that, as you said, it's good to have an idea of where you want to go in those 10 seconds, just to ask more questions. Okay, what's the next step? And just be aware everything can change. And just keep asking questions to, open the possibilities. And I have a new tool I love, and it's just like, if you close your eyes, you don't have to do it now, Rebecca, but like just, and it's a year from now, like it's a year from now, and you just look back at this year, and it was the most amazing year of your life. What did happen? What did you create this past year? And it just to give you more clarity about what you want in those 10 seconds, but just to say, okay, if that's where I want to go now, what's the next step? And just creating your life instead of watching Netflix. And at the same time, always keep question, because as you said, it's not because in those 10 seconds, I see my life going there, I need to keep going there. It's just to actually do something and like start creation, making choice, because the choice you make today will create your future tomorrow. And at the same time, like, you know me, I can talk with anyone. I can be like, I have kind of plan because I want my life moving, just not asking questions and stay at home in my couch and don't speak with anyone. And I love to be able to move, and at the same time I'm open to any opportunities, any possibilities, and I love speaking with people. And at some time I just love being with me and don't talk to anyone. It doesn't last long. But yeah, as you said, it's just like, guys, keep being open to everything, and at the same time start something. If you think things are not working for you, don't keep doing the same again and again and again.
And maybe when you did that exercise, you realized that the current trajectory of your life is not heading for a very fun future in 2021. And so what if you didn't resist and react to that, or decide that you did the exercise wrong, or judge yourself, but instead take an honest, a brutally honest internal look and go, all right, so what am I choosing here that's creating this? What are the choices I'm making today, and where am I functioning from that is creating my life in this way? And you have to be willing to change your point of view, to change your perspective, to look and be and do something different that's going to be more pragmatic and working for you. Because otherwise, you are going to end up exactly where you energetically perceive yourself to be. And is that enough for you, or do you desire something different? And I know right now, with so many fun things going on in the news and around the world, that it seems like there is no future, and that it's very hard to plan, and it's very hard to create things. And you're like, well, is this plan still going to be relevant in 5 days, a year, a month, 6 months, a year? It's one of those things that is actually really hard to predict right now. But that's where, if you're trying to go for logic and predictions, you are going to fail. There is nothing logical and predictable about what is going on right now. It's total insanity. But instead, if you're willing to have awareness and to, it's really time to flex those muscles here, and to actually go for question and remember what's light, and don't buy into the insanity. Keep pot and pocking it. Who does it belong to? Frack it if you know how. And start to go, okay, what's my reality here? What's true for me? And what plans can I create for the future that can also be changeable, but will still create? Because if you don't create your future, this reality will. Now, which choice would you like to make? And this applies to relationships in your life. Do you desire this reality to create your future, to create your relationships, or do you desire to be the one in control? Personally, I'm going to be the one in control, but that's up to you. Depends how you like your reality.
Yeah, I love that. And like we are talking about relationship with yourself, just because it's the first relationship you should be nurturing and taking care of, and like do what's work for you. And it's not selfish at all. Like if you really took care of your relationship, respect and honoring you at any time. And when you don't make it wrong for you. Just choose something different if you want. And it's just like, but you are showing the way for other people by being the leader of your life, not for others to follow you, but to really being you and be the invitation for others to choose more for them. And that's the whole point. And I try to do that. I don't try, I do it. And I love the way my kids saw me, my wife saw me, and sometimes say, oh, thanks for the invitation, you be. And she's an invitation for me on way many other aspects of the life. And yeah, I love that. So relationship with yourself. Yeah. If you choose to have joy, if you choose to nurturing you and nurturing your relationship with yourself, you will be the invitation for others to come to you too. And like, oh, I want to know more. She's creating so much, is doing so much. Like, I want more of that. I want joy. Like, I will, choose to create joy.
And one of the things is that your relationships with other people can actually reflect what's going on for you. Like, I notice for myself, if I've ever started to go, oh, like this person doesn't have my back, or like, Access can fire me or something like that, then they need to look at, all right, so am I truly having my own back right now?
Yeah.
Or am I skipping out on myself and deciding to be limited and negative and not actually truly going and being for what I know? Because that's actually really important, is when you're not honoring your awareness, when you're not trusting yourself that you will do what you do, when you're not treating yourself with allowance, having gratitude for yourself. And what's the last one?
Oh, no, you are on your own. I was amazed, and at the same time,
honor to vulnerable. If you're not willing to be vulnerable, big one. If you're not willing to know what is
and
actually
have
going
gratitude.
on for you, holy fucking shit, how the hell can you ever connect with someone else from an infinite perspective?
Yeah.
Good luck. Claudia, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. And it's really quite amazing to listen to you both. It's exactly the point of vulnerability that I'm experiencing right now. I was in Egypt on the Women's Economic Forum now, and I got to know a man. So who got to know whom? And I'm now experiencing a really peculiar moment where I'm becoming aware of the honoring of me and how much vulnerability that's creating in my reality. And to stay trusting and truthful to myself. And I found this, at this present moment in time, an absolute challenge. Okay, that is apart from asking questions and whatever else. And so what I'm becoming aware of listening to you two is, which I appreciate greatly, is just once I actually take it down to the body, to that moment, to the present, it becomes such an impressive moment with vulnerability and just trusting to know what I know and not being disheveled, although this happens, right, by not giving up on me.
Yeah.
So this is quite amazing, really, what and it's actually the breakdown, right? We know all this in our heads, we know it, but to actually be able to get to it and be that vulnerability and be that acknowledgement and being the pause where there's fucking nothing, right? I call it the silent void. That is actually really, truly amazing. So this is what I'm experiencing at the moment, and I hope this can be a contribution to you.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's a real dance between having these 5 elements of intimacy and turning them into significance too. Because, you know, we love to know that we're the center of attention in our own lives and therefore the center of the universe too. And we can get so caught up on something that doesn't even matter to us a month from now.
Yeah.
Because we're humanoids and we forget everything. And, you know, so it's one of those things of like knowing yourself and knowing how you be as well. Like, I know that I can be quite a dramatic, negative person sometimes. And so I just let myself be it and exaggerate it. And then soon enough, I get bored of it. And then I'm willing to go back to being who I actually am and go about my day and get back to creating, because I know, like, all right, cool, you need to have like a diva moment. Go to town and I'll be here when you get back and when you're finally willing to get back to work and, you know, do some real shit here. But it's not to make any of this wrong, but it's more to look at truly knowing how you function. Where do you run away? What do you want to avoid? Where do you cop out? Where do you actually thrive? And be willing to put yourself in those places where you thrive and have allowance of yourself and be willing to change it where you do not. Yes, Claudia.
What I'm becoming aware of as well is really this silent void, to actually become still. And this is something that, let's call it the corona, putting on the crown, right? Is teaching me at this present moment, or showing up for me at this present moment in time. And we've been so busy, we've been trying to do, to make, to have, to whatever, and to actually do nothing and just observe and just be there with me and being silent. And that is actually the biggest contribution to me right now with what's happening, right? And for me, that's also a point of creation that I've never experienced before, right? Where I'm the doer, right? I'm very much like you, Rebecca, right? Get up and do it, and best out-create them and outdo them all. And to actually go into a gear where everything is possible, everything is happening, and doing nothing. And that's truly something else for me at this present moment in time. Might be different tomorrow, but that's what it is right now.
Cool. How does it get any better?
Yeah.
So where would we like to take this conversation now? Like, yes, there's an energetic space here, and we have many different possibilities. But so if you look at what we've created energetically so far, where to from here?
I'm speechless, and I'm rarely speechless. So just do something, please, Rebecca. Just do something.
Oh, you want to have people sit here in a space that is normally filled with sound and not let them enjoy it?
We can. Like, yeah.
Also, this is something too, is like we try to overcompensate so much. Yeah. Fill this void, make sure that we're busy, make sure that we're productive. Are we doing enough? Is our life, comparatively successful? Are we happy enough? What if you just started to look with, are you comfortable in your own company? Are you okay with having silence?
It's a silent yes.
And sometimes we get to places quicker than we imagine, like in terms of maybe this was where this conversation was supposed to go today. Like, as Romain said, we did not have a script. We did not have a plan of where we were going. And as I said at the very beginning, should we talk about it? Maybe I was onto something.
Yes.
Or maybe I'm just proving a point. We don't really know.
I just feel manipulated right now. Like,
oh darling, always. So we know about me by now.
Just, yeah.
But so it's looking at this space and what this is facilitating for you, because it is a very different energy. It's not normal. It's weird as fuck.
Yeah.
And looking at, if you're just joining or if you're listening to the replay, what can this create for you? And what's your awareness here? And are you willing to listen to it? Now, that doesn't mean that you need to take action. We have this big misconception that because we're aware of something, we need to take action. But instead, like, your awareness, if you truly took action for every single piece of awareness you had, you would not have enough time in 1,000 years in order to be able to create them all. But instead, if you were willing to look at every single awareness and go, thank you, like, is this something that I require to take action on? And normally most of your awarenesses are just desiring to be acknowledged. And if you acknowledge them, then they stop screaming at you at like fire, engine levels. They die down and they simmer, and they're just there ready for you to pluck into use if required at any time. And the same thing goes with the way that we deal with people. If we always believe that we need to take action, it's like, if you have a friend that has to fill the silence, that has to make sure that everyone's entertained, that everyone's busy, that everyone's having a good time, then is there any space for true connection? Now, those people are wonderful, especially for certain situations, like a party, like what a great hostess. But if that's overcompensating for something or an avoidance of something, then you never really truly get to deeply connect, deeply contribute to each other, have any vulnerability. And so if you are that person, you want to start looking at, are you willing to just be with people? Because if you're willing to have your being be the source of what you're creating with yourself and with other people, then you're going to have a very different way of going about it. There's not as much effort. There's not as much doing required. And it's how you fall into effortless creations that you wonder how it actually showed up. That's because it showed up by your being and not by the action that you had to take. And sure, there's always action. If you know me, that I'm always very full of action. But it's never about coming from, the physical action taking institution, having to work hard, having to put time in. It doesn't become about this reality components. It more comes from the generation and creation that's truly possible, that we have access to, that's not from this reality.
Yeah.
And I know go for it.
Go for it.
All I was going to say, like, I know that this is coming from a little bit more of an esoteric place, but like, if you guys have questions, I'm very happy to turn this into a more pragmatic conversation.
What that brings me, it's like maybe 5 or 6 years back, I remember like sometime I was at the restaurant with Elodie, my wife, and feeling so good, and at the same time not having so much to say, and making myself wrong about that, because that reality you're supposed to not have like blank, like what's going on, like you don't have to have anything to say to your wife, what's going on and shit like that, instead of just enjoying the moment and the connection without word, the energetic connection we got at the time. And yeah, you remember when you was talking about the ideals, and like if you try to compare yourself to some ideals not yours, and like it's that reality or maybe an interpretation for some people, like just do what's bringing you joy. And sometimes speaking it's not required. So on a Zoom it's a bit weird, but it's cool.
Mm-hmm. And what if you're willing to be weird? The original definition of weird is of fate, spirit, and destiny. Doesn't sound so bad when you put it like that.
No, that's true. Does anyone have a question?
How long do they go for, Romain? Are they an hour or 30 minutes?
It might be 30 minutes this time. Yeah.
I just went.
Maybe 25. No, no, we look so fried. Claudia, I have a question. Go for it, Claudia.
What would it take for us to be silent for 2 minutes and just observe what that would create energetically, and how much would we be able to receive everybody who's on this call? That's my question.
And I would love to invite you guys to take yourself out on a date, whether that's in your house or outdoors. Like, take yourself out for lunch and don't have your phone out. Don't have a book. Don't have a protection device, basically, for entertainment. Are you willing to enjoy your own company? And maybe it's taking a bath and making a beautiful meal for yourself and sitting on the floor or sitting outside on your patio and enjoying it. And it's still a little cold in Europe, but the sun is starting to come out. Or, you know, what is it that you could be and do for you that requires no entertainment? Because we spend so much time worrying about if we're entertained enough, or if we're going to get bored, or if we're creating enough to keep ourselves busy. We're perpetually afraid of nothing. But so what if instead you started to truly train yourself to enjoy your own company? Reading a book is not enjoying your own company. It's diving into another universe of a book. And I'm an avid reader. So, but it's actually looking at, like, where are you, what would be a challenge for you to enjoy by yourself? And are you willing to be there for yourself and practice? So my invitation for you would be to take yourself out on a date and enjoy the fuck out of your own company with no distraction. No. And be willing to receive. Maybe you won't be uncomfortable, but other people might be uncomfortable. Be willing to receive that there's space and it's not wrong, as Romain was talking about earlier. And would you be willing to be happy? God forbid. But to be happy by yourself, enjoying yourself. And hey, maybe you get lucky at the end of the night too.
Yeah, no, it's like I was going to say, I love doing that, like no phone in my pocket, nothing, just sitting in a table of having a coffee or whatever, and just look at the world. And it could be an invitation, like it's bringing me so much joy. It could be an invitation for other people to come and see you and talk to you and stuff like that. So have the willingness just to enjoy the connection, and just say, cut off if you really want to stay with yourself at the moment. Like, just keep doing what's worked for you. Yeah. Oh, Albena have a question, but she's shy. She said, have you talked about business relationship?
We have not. What do you want to know, Albena?
Jump in, Albena.
It's a silence call where we push you to ask your questions.
Yeah. Anything. Oh, come on.
What would you like to create in your business relationships? Where are they currently heading, and how's that working? Right now, we're kind of at a stage at the Zoom where we need a little bit more to go off. So if you have an example, or you have something, you know, if you're asking the question, you already have an awareness of what's possible to create. So what we're looking for here in the questions is for you to give us that start of the possibility, so that then we can extrapolate the question further. But if you're asking us to talk in very general topics, we actually don't have enough to go off here to be able to really have a conversation. So that's why I'm asking for more questions. So what are business creationships? Creationship is where you create more together than you do by yourself. So in the relationship, as we discussed was earlier, is the distance between two objects or two people. So if you have a business relationship, the traditional sense is more looking at what am I doing and what am I supposed to do and what are you doing and what are you supposed to do and what do I expect of you and what do I expect of me. And most of the time those two ideas and projections do not match up. Whereas a creationship is kind of like Romain and I going like, hey, what have you got that's really great and what have I got that's really great and what have you got that's shitty and what have I got that's shitty and what do we want to create together? How can we use and extrapolate what we both have to create something great? And so it's not diminishing or our strengths or emphasizing what's not our strength, but it's being willing to see the whole picture and not sugarcoat anything and knowing exactly who each other is with total vulnerability, with allowance, with trusting each other to do what each other is going to do, with awareness too, which is not one of these, and with gratitude for having the other person in our lives as a playmate and being willing to be vulnerable. I still don't think and honor each other, to treat each other with regard for what they have and what they can offer. And like truly this whole thing about relationships does come down to the 5 elements of intimacy and the willingness to manipulate. You know, as you saw earlier, I've already manipulated the fuck out of Romain on this. And I have a phone call. Sorry, guys. And so it's being willing to look at all these pieces and also have a sense of play. The minute your business relationships get serious is the minute that you close off all possibilities. Romain and I are very willing to play with each other, to have a joy in what we do and be. And yeah, we tease the shit out of each other. We're not exactly comfortable for each other to be around all the time because we laser in a little too close to home. But we also trust that that's something that the other person is going to do. And Romain, please feel free to speak more to your side of our creationship.
I love that because like we, as you said, we trust each other for they will do what they do. So I know how Rebecca will do, but I'm still asking for some stuff. She asking for some stuff. It's not about like just close the possibilities like, oh, she's good at that. She only be willing to do that. No, always ask, but with no projection, no expectation of what is she going to choose it or not. And sometimes it's just so fun. We create a lot together and for different projects. And at the same time, it's just like, okay, what's working for me now? And I mean, we never mad at each other or whatever. Like it just, we know some point the space we need to have. And it's funny. It's like, we have a relationship. No, it's really funny because we live in the house for a month together. And it's really funny. Like we always had the willingness to tell each other what's working or not. And that's fucking amazing because when you have and for business relationship, I so much do love doing that with my partners. It's like, okay, that's not working for me. And have the willingness to not take it personally, like not from a space of emotion, but just like, oh, okay, I get that. So what are we going to create now? What can we add to that project to make it happen? And like, that's a creationship for me. It's like really like we are resourcefulness. Like it's everything is possible. And sometimes I can tell Rebecca, oh, I don't like doing that. Or yeah, sure, I have the solution. Like let me a few days and I will try that and whatever. And just a willingness to say, okay, so that didn't work. What can we add? What can we do different there? And it's awesome because we never mad at each other. It's really fun. Like she's bossy and stuff. Yeah, I know that. Like everyone can tell that. Like, but at the same time, it's so fun because I love its creation. Like, is that going to happen? Can you do that? Yes, no. Like, it's almost 5 seconds. Yes, no. Yeah. And if she said no, I just go someplace else and just asking someone else. And it's so funny, it's work. And I can ask her next time about a different subject. I never fear about ask her something. And when she said yes, I'm so happy because I know things will move like fast.
Yeah.
And if she said no, I'm like, okay, I'm never mad at her. I'm just like, okay, we need to ask someone else. Will that do? So I ask, and when it's not working, I do it myself. But with Rebecca, and I love doing I hope I do the same with you. Like if she asks something, I just say, yeah, I can do it or not. And if not this time, it's okay. And I don't make myself wrong about that, you know? Like,
no, you're definitely wrong if you say no to me.
I'm wrong. I'm never wrong. So it's
okay. And yes, you can ask another question about this. Go for it. What's your question?
This is awesome. I'm so happy to be here and hopping on. And
hey, can you
Leah,
because I think
the
microphone
iPad is.
Here we go. Yeah.
It was upside down and charging. Now, okay, cool. Can you hear me?
It's really low. Maybe just.
Maybe, you know what? I think it might be. Is this better?
Maybe it's the cover.
Okay, let me see if I can take it out really quick. I haven't taken it out.
It's fun. So low.
Okay, I'm on mute to figure it out. That's a good idea. And in the okay, there we go.
Is this better?
Yes, much better.
Oh, cool. Yay, cool. Awesome. I'm so happy to be here and hopping on, like, specifically at this time where you're chatting about with creationships. And I know it's not the newest conversation, but it's a new conversation to me. And it's what I've been asking for more of without really knowing how to name it. Kind of like collaborations with geniuses and letting everybody like do their thing with a space of allowance and acknowledgement and ease. So I'm also curious about, I know that, well, this call might be defined as like your partnership maybe or something else, but
it doesn't have a definition.
Yeah, where my mind is actually going is like deal and deliver and working with clients and like having creationship there. And I get that what's required in my business is a lot more clarity on the deal and deliver and just like demand for ease. So I'm wondering if you have anything to say about that or like talk around that, or
I have
if you need
a lot to say about this.
Yay, cool, yay, awesome.
So the first thing is, let's just debunk the myth that deal and deliver is about coming to an agreement. Deal and deliver is about creating an awareness of how the other person functions and them having awareness about how you function. It's not about deciding the terms and conditions of how you will or won't work together. But we commonly use the same words when we're going to create a contract or create an agreement of what we're going to choose together. But so the kind of questions that we ask that are in the deal and deliver calls on the Access Shop, and they're in the Joy of Business manuals and a little bit of my work. I've got a program called Overdealt and Underdelivered, which is all about deal and deliver actually. And so what it's looking into is, okay, so what do you like to do? What does this person expect of me? What exactly do I expect of them? What exactly is this going to look like? And how exactly do you see this working? And the key word here is exactly. Because if you don't say that, then people have room to weasel, which is a Gary Douglas scientific term of when you do everything you can to not be as clear as possible and to create as much confusion as possible so that there's no clarity in what you're creating. So that's why you have to be willing to have clarity yourself and to say, this is exactly what I'm looking for, or this is exactly what I would like to create. And you also have to be willing to have no expectations. Just because you hire someone doesn't mean they're going to do what they said that they're going to do. In fact, most of the time they will definitely not do what they said that they were going to do. And so if you're working with clients, you want to ask them, so what exactly are you looking for here? How exactly can I help you? These are the kind of services I offer, but exactly what are you looking for? How exactly can I help you is a really great question for clients. And then from there, you can start to create a conversation. And what you're looking for is not how you fit in, not how you fit into their lives or you fit what they're looking for, but how they function. Because if you know how that person functions, then you're going to be able to have a conversation that works. If you have a very direct and straight way of dealing with people, and then you deal with someone that can never answer a question straight to save their life, you know that you're going to have a few different choices for how you work with that. I'm currently working with a host right now that is one of those people that is very indirect. And I know that I generally have 3 or 4 questions for her at a time, but if I give her 2 questions, she will ignore the one that she doesn't want to answer. So instead, I have to make sure that I'm asking her 1 question at a time. And then from there, and it's like nothing wrong with her and nothing wrong with me, but I know that I'm a very demanding person and that I like directness and exactness. And I also know that that is not her way of being. She lives on an island. She's in this very different world where you don't have to have exactness. You don't have to have much of that going on in your world. And there's a very big culture of avoiding questions that you don't want to answer. And so I'm playing with it and giving her enough room that she can joke and play around and say the things that she needs to say, and then asking her a direct question when I need it. And so it's never being willing to just have it be one way, but knowing how to deal with multiple situations and multiple people. Is this helping? Do you have more questions?
Brilliant. Yeah. Another question just popped in just now. So yeah, do you have any questions to start asking to bring more of that in? I get that the clarity is required. Like I have a few examples where it's like, okay, I see where I'm functioning from on the clarity, and that's exactly what I'm getting from the people. Or if I'm not really clear up front, then it can get wonky, and it's such a gift to have that awareness now. And now that I have tools, I can change it and not make myself wrong and just be like, okay, that was a choice. And now what else is possible? And now, so yeah, I guess, I could think of simple questions to ask of who wants to play, who wants to create, that sort of thing. But do you have any other questions around
if you have current client relationships that you want to change, you can also ask hey, would you be interested in creating a change in how we work together? And if they say no, you have to be great, cool. Or you could just say, hey, I have an idea. You don't want to bring it up as a problem, because most people will try and focus on the problem that's wrong and fix that instead of looking at all the possibilities. And instead you could say, hey, I've been tossing a lot of things up in the air right now. I just wondered, would you be interested in changing the way that we work together? And if they say yes, then book a time, have a conversation. It's hey, what do you love to do and create? Why don't we start from there? Because I see your brilliance and acknowledge them, and don't acknowledge what they're doing that's great. Yeah. And you adore, and say what are your strengths and what do you actually truly enjoy doing? I know in our creation, whether it's a client, role, or you're working together in a business, it's I know that we need to have this and this and this and this and this created, but would any of these be fun for you? If you could completely remake our agreement, what would you take out and what would you keep in and what would you add that hasn't existed before?
Yeah. It's so cool. Having this conversation is allowing me to see where I've made myself so wrong for not fitting expectations and putting projections and expectations on myself, and then separating, judging, and rejecting me.
Of course. So hot and pock, all the projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections that you have and of you. Yes? Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, on the intros, boys and beyonds. That's a great thing to do every single day. And yes, know that you're always going to be a disappointment to someone. You're never going to live up to everyone's expectations, and you will exceed phenomenally some other people's expectations to the point that they are uncomfortable. One of my other businesses is we actually run a bed and breakfast and wedding venue. That was one of our family homes. And we had a bride last week, and she was such a people pleaser, and she just kept asking me, like, was this okay? Is everything okay? And I was like, hey, it doesn't matter if I think it's okay or not. It's actually if you think everything goes okay or not. Why do you keep asking me? And she didn't really have an answer, and I went, fuck, Rebecca, you're being too direct, shut up. And so I held my mouth, but she went away with question in her world of like, did I actually have a good time? Was this the wedding that I actually asked for? And she did write an email the other day saying how incredible it was and how much feedback she had, and she sent some pictures through too. But when you push people past their point of receiving, they get really uncomfortable and they don't know what is going on. So you have to be aware that that's part of it and be willing to let people be uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is not a problem for you to fix. Yeah.
And I would love, like, maybe Leah was not there yet, but you know, the thing about, I love doing that for new deals. So it's mostly when I want to buy a company, but it's can be on any deals. And it's like, you like to get awareness of what's going on, what their desire are, what their fear are, and will that match you? You can just ask them like, hey guys, I'm a bit confused. Like, if we were, it's a year from now, you look back and we had an amazing deal. Like, I give you the money you wanted, I give you the product or whatever services you wanted. Like, everything was perfect. What would that be like? And at that moment, because sometimes when you ask, oh, exactly what do you, some people don't know what they love. It sounds crazy, but they know what they don't want, but they don't know what they want. And it's just about like asking more questions about that. And it's like, oh yeah, I would love that. And at this time, because for myself, I don't want every customer. I only want customers that will match what I can deliver, and they will be happy and talk about it in like, and since I'm really young, I start selling at 17, and I always pushed away people I don't want to work with. And that's the win-win deal, because I don't lose energy. They don't lose time. I don't lose time. Everyone is happy. And it's like really asking this kind of question will bring you the awareness, like to see, oh, okay, she was looking so good, or he was looking so good at what he does, but maybe it will not work with me. I don't want those kind of energy. And like, maybe it's good to be able to acknowledge the fact it can be the best possibilities just to walk away from that deal or that customer. Sometimes it will bring you so much more ease and left you so much energy to work with another customer too, or many others sometimes. Like the 20-80% thing, the Pareto law or something like that. Sometimes, yeah, like 20% of your customer bring you 80% of your problem, and vice versa. And it's like, so maybe just getting rid of the 20% could be a good thing.
That's brilliant. I did not hop on here like expecting kind of a business call, but your life is your business. I've got one question about like in and around that too. Is that okay if I ask?
Yeah.
So specifically like with photography, I do photography and graphic design, and with photography in my business, I've heard that like you should under promise and over deliver, and like that's a good way to like do the thing. And I don't know, like I'm
so
just
what does
curious,
that mean?
Like promise a certain number of photos and then deliver more than what I promise, so that they're getting bonus photos, like it exceeds their expectation, and like it kind of like surprises and delights them in a way. And what I tend to do, which is probably not uncommon in like multiple areas of my life, is like way over deliver. So like, yeah, I'm curious about that too.
Is your price congruent with what you're delivering or what you're saying you're delivering?
Oh, my price is congruent with what I say I'm delivering.
Okay. And
it's not congruent with what I'm delivering. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what if your price was congruent with what you're delivering,
mm-hmm.
but then you are promising less than that? And what would happen if you provided exactly what you said you would?
Mm-hmm.
I get that that is weird in the world of artistry.
Well, I never know how many photos are going to turn out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and here's the thing, like, yes, it's like industry standard to deliver a certain amount of photos or to have an agreement on like, you get this amount of photos. But what if you did your deal in a certain way? What if it was just a shoot is this much? And it's common that you would get around this many photos, but it might be more, it might be less.
Mm-hmm. I get that question all the time of like how many photos per package. And I get that people, are desiring to know.
What are people really looking for? Because I mean, if you get a photo session for your business and you're a solo entrepreneur, can you really use 200 photos? Like, honestly, like I would say that out of a shoot of 200, I'm probably using maximum 20.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, but what are they really looking, like when people are saying like, how many photos am I going to get? What are they actually looking for?
Yeah.
Because you may not know the exact kind of thing, but there is an energy there. They're going to know that they're going to be able to have something that they can use, that there is going to be more than enough, that there's going to be a sense of what will be created. That's kind of what they're using the numbers for.
Mm-hmm.
So, but instead, what if it's like, all right, so you get this amount of time, generally in that amount of time, you could get like 3 different outfits or 3 different looks in. And roughly when I'm shooting, you don't need to be exact, but it's between 150 and 250 photos.
Uh-huh.
And generally, and you can say like, generally most people use 20 to 30 out of that, or, use up your own numbers. But what if you didn't have to be exact in the numbers, but you could be exact in the products that they were going to receive?
Yeah, that sounds, more in line with what I am knowing is a possibility that I haven't been choosing quite yet. Yeah.
Right. And maybe would that give you more freedom in your photography? What else would be able to show up in the lens?
Mm-hmm.
If you had a different kind of freedom rather than a deadline.
Yes.
Because because I mean, truly, until you get past that number of photos that you're taking, do you have a sense of freedom in what you shoot, or do you feel like you're on target?
I know that I always will surpass the number that I promise.
Great.
So that there is a comfort to that, where before I wasn't implementing that, and I would just say like, you'll get however many turn out, and then like there's this ambiguity that is uncomfortable, I think, for the receiving party, because they want a little bit more of a sense of what they're going to receive. And I get that clarity. And what Romain just said about like really just being available. I haven't asked this question. I'm so grateful for the thing that you just said right before this, Romain, about like only attracting the clients that are real, or only agreeing to work with the clients that are, it's a win-win. And you can feel it when it's a win-win.
It's congruent.
Yeah.
And Stephanie's asking, what's it like to promise everything and deliver only what you desire? Can you say more about that, please? Well, that's an interesting choice. It's not something that I would normally choose to say like, yes, we'll have that all handled. And then you decide halfway that you don't want to deliver half of that. Is that really honoring, treating the other person with regard? To me, honoring your word is very important, and things do change, and you have to be willing to say so, and to be vulnerable, and to be the one that's wrong as well. I recently had a fuck up and everyone was reacting more than me, but I was like, no, I made the fuck up. I have to fix it. And I had the conversation with the person and was like, hey, look, I'm sorry I fucked up, and explained the situation. And they were more than fine because I was willing to be vulnerable. But most of the time, it's actually more about honoring your word. And so I wouldn't overpromise and underdeliver ever, unless something has seriously gone wrong. Because, I mean, does that ever really create somewhat the future of being able to work with someone? So only delivering what you desire is not really involving the other person in the receiving or the creation of what is going on. That's why in a business relationship or any kind of relationship, that deal and deliver of knowing exactly what the other person is looking for, and then being willing to look at if you desire to deliver that or not, and then making a choice right then and there if you desire to do it and are going to do it, or if you're not. And then also being honest about that too. Now, that doesn't mean you need to be blunt in your conversation. You can still say things in a way that can be received. That's very important. That's one of the things of manipulation, and that's one of the things of a business relationship that can be really, really valuable, is knowing how to speak in a way that can be heard. And that's simply practicing and asking truth. What can this person hear? And then only saying that. And then the most valuable tool that we have, shut up.
Yeah. And having
Really
gratitude
cool.
for yourself to shut up. Like,
yes,
oh,
you're like,
I didn't
oh
say it, I didn't say it, I didn't say it. Yes.
Which is a huge challenge. It's not an easy thing to be able to shut up. I am terrible at it and practicing all the time. But the more you are willing to be and do that, the greater ease you can have with your relationships. I mean, how many times have you really fucked up because you didn't say anything, or more because you said too much? I would say for the majority of us, it's because we've said too much.
Yeah.
So
Boom.
I hope that's Stephanie.
Yeah, drop mic. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Yeah. Oh, I can do that with that one, but maybe.
Aww.
Drop mic. Thank
Very
you
exciting.
so much. Like, wow.
My pleasure.
Always fun. Like, yeah.
Of course. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
You're
Please.
not having fun with the people around you. Change the people.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime. And please kiss your mom, Marge. I love you.
She's in the room, actually.
You know why I say that? Because I saw your eyes just go there, and I say, Marge is in the room. Hi, Marge.
Hi.
So thank you.
Those kind of people. It doesn't work.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone being live or watching the replay or listening to the replay. Like, what the fuck else is possible with relationship and creationship, and like starting with yourself?
Exactly.
What is doing a creationship with yourself?
Yeah, and if you have a date with yourself, or if you're trying any of these tools and you have questions or feedback, like, talk to Romain and I would love to hear from you.
Yeah. Woohoo! Yeah. Merci beaucoup, madame.
Merci à tous.
See you, everyone else, next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have so much fun.